Here we have a Meta Quest 2. This is a VR headset, a virtual reality headset. And it was sent in by Alex into the PO box. It says, here's the Quest 2 I mentioned on Patreon. I purchased it as no power from eBay and it just included the headset itself, no controllers, etc. So also you would have like this little light seal around here and a strap here so you don't get a load of light leaking out and you can wear it. And also a couple of controllers. I've had a look at it and it seems to just not take a charge at all. The red light flashes for a while and then turns to a solid red light to indicate charging, but that it has very low power. At this point the screen will turn on and you'll see a low battery icon. I managed to get it to power on to the Meta logo screen at one point, but it turned quickly off. I got a spare battery for it too enclosed, but when I plugged it in it seemed to behave the same. That's strange. While reassembling, my T2 screwdriver gave up, so I've enclosed the 2 remaining screws for the black cover surrounding the lenses. Hope you're able to work your magic and revive it. Thanks, Alex. Well, thank you, Alex. Now, let's see what's happening. What do we need to charge this thing? Well, it says here 5 volts at 2 amps. So there you go, 0.19, 0.18, 0.19. So the very fact it's varying like that suggests that it is actually charging. So I'm going to walk away for a while and come back and we'll see whether this has jumped up or, in fact, look, it's gone to 0.20 now. Now, suffice to say, I've never worked on one of these before. I don't own one, so I don't even know how the thing works. I'm just pressing the power button here. This is going to be volume. These must be little microphones and we have various cameras around the place. There doesn't appear to be anything happening in here. Well, I'm going to walk away for a while and then come back later and see if that's changed at all. Actually, in the meantime, let's have a look at the battery. Well, it all looks a bit bashed up. Is that the battery or is the battery inside this cover? Let me just undo these. Let me get a T2 because I presume it's the same as the other ones. This little Torx 2-bit. Obviously I've got metal here, but I'm being very careful. I'm not just throwing it in there. Ah, okay. Well, here we go. Well, interestingly, that was a bit bent down. So could that, in theory, been short in here? 3.85 volts. Just going to go across here, see if I can see any voltage. No, there's nothing here. They must go down to these connections here, surely. So we have 2 ribbon cables, so there must be 2 batteries in here. There must be one up top and another flat cell underneath, because look, we have 2 ribbon cables coming down to this one connector. Let's zoom in here and see if it makes any sense. P00, P++. So will these 2 outer ones be the... or are they just shields? No voltage there. Would it be these 2 here then? No voltage there at all. Nothing. Let's go to continuity. See, is that ground? No. Is that connected to this? Yes. Yes. These are going from here to here. So if there was going to be voltage, you'd think it'd be on these 2 here, and there isn't any at all. See, I think sometimes with stuff like this, they go into like a protection mode, and when you were to connect it up and put power in, it would all of a sudden spring to life. So we might find that there is like, 3.2 volts in here. Now, has this changed here? 0.2, well, it was 0.19 before. So no, annoyingly that hasn't changed. It hasn't been that long though. Still got a flashing red light. Right, I'm going to leave it for however long. Maybe let's give it an hour, and then by then we should know whether it's... It should be doing, I presume, something different by then, or give us something. Yeah, so it's still low on the amps there. Let's try, which I presume is not going to be fun, let's try taking it apart, and if this is a replacement battery here and it's a battery problem, then really, this should kind of liven up, but obviously Alex has already tried that and it hasn't worked. Now, I can see various screws around here. I know they're T2 because Alex has already told me that in that little letter that came. So let's undo these and let's see what happens. I presume the tech in here is going to be pretty impressive. And I presume it's going to be like a mobile phone in here, as in a RAM packed with stuff. It does need one massive clean. It looks like there's some kind of like a proximity type sensor here that knows when you're wearing it. And can you see there's just food and all sorts of bits and that, crumbs and everything on here. But that's not going to stop it from charging. So yeah, it's no surprise that it is crammed full of stuff in here, and it's just connector after connector after connector. So it's not easy to get into it, but it's easier than having to melt the screen off a mobile phone. Anyway, I'm having a look around the place. I'm just going to show you the speakers now, and then I'll show you what I discover. I wonder if they're for the speakers. The blue and black and the red and black. I think they're the speakers here. Oh, they are, and they come through here. They probably come through these bits here, so you can hear. Yeah, that's quite near your ears, those holes. Ah, what we've got going on here, there's a problem. We've got a problem here. Wow, look at that. Look at that there. It's a huge amount of burning. This is liquid damage, you know. And then, yeah. Right, so what are they feeding, I wonder? Let's see if we can undo them. Right, so the one on the left is feeding, guess what? The proximity sensor. And the one on the right is feeding the little Oculus light at the front, but also is doing something else as well. It's going down to the mechanism that you move in and out for the width of your eyes. You know, like a kid might have it on number 1, an adult might have it on number 3. So it looks like that's what the 2 ribbon cables are feeding. It's not bad, but it's not bright gold, is it? You can see they're a bit tarnished there. Let's have a look at this burnt one. Yes, that's been eaten away there, you see. That's a shame. Right, well, I mean, obviously I haven't got any of these spare to swap anything with. I wonder if we were just to clean it up, would that be enough to, and maybe leave it disconnected? I wonder what it's for. So maybe that's why it's not charging. Maybe what we see here, the drawer on here, might be, for example, where this power one is shorted to ground. Anyway, we need to get this out. Well, that's nice. It's a little bit wet. Might be just grease from the oils. From the thermal pad. Now, is this a Lego connector here? This must be feeding the screen. Surely this is massive. Right, I bet that's the screen connector. Just going to have a close look here. Ah, no. We got corrosion here as well. Right, okay, I think... Oh, I don't think this is going to be fixable. I've had so many items recently that are just not fixable. Such a shame. Right, can you see all the corrosion here? And also up here as well. I mean, it might be fixable with some IPA, but it just looks pretty bad in here. Right, okay, so that's no good. Now, are you going to come out at long last? Yes, you are. Right, so looking at the battery here, I think that also looks corroded. Well, let's get some IPA out, some gloves on, let's clean up the battery connector, see if we have any voltage there. You know, maybe if we could get it charging, that's going to be something. And then, for example, I presume this here is for the image on the screens, but again, I'm not too sure. And maybe we might be able to get something working, and then we can take it from there. So I'm going to be using isopropyl alcohol, 99.9%. Boxes, boxes and more boxes. Now, before we move on to my most cherished thing in the world, isopropyl alcohol, we're going to have a word from today's sponsor. Ta-da! PCB Way. So you've made your dream electronics project on a breadboard and you want some high quality printed circuit boards, then look no further than PCBWay. They've got over a decade experience in the PCB industry. They have state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities and they use the latest technology to produce high quality PCBs that meet your specifications. At PCBWay they have a range of services including PCB prototyping, PCB assembly, flexible PCBs, high density PCBs, CNC machining and 3D printing. So a massive thanks to PCBWay for sponsoring the My Mavens channel. Links of course will be in the description down below. Now let's get a move on with the isopropyl in off the board. So I give an initial clean with IPA, but unfortunately it's a lot worse after it's clean than beforehand, because sometimes you sort of think, okay, maybe after it's cleaned it will look good, but then when you do clean it and you realise most of it's been worn away. I just want to show you these ribbon cables because what I thought looked okay earlier is actually completely gone. Hold on now, where have these? These have been completely burnt away. Look at the inside ones. So yeah, these are both gone here. Look here. Can you see here? Where's that one gone? There's nothing there now. There's only the tips of those ones, and that's strange. I'm gonna have to find out what these are for. Yeah, look at that. Okay, let's just see, just in case there's some weird thing going on where it's supposed to be like that. Let's have a look at this one. Nah, there you go, that's what it should look like, these ones here, I think. Now the rest of these are ruined here. Wow, I didn't think that this one was worse. How bizarre. Okay, well you can see it's not going to be, well I know what some of you are going to think. You could scrape back here and possibly run a pad. It's just this so incredibly small finger size of that. It's reminding me of the Apple Watch, which somehow is still working. Isn't that unbelievable? I know that that's going to be a nightmare to sort out. So let's see what they're for. So like I mentioned before, they're for the proximity sensor and also the Oculus light at the front as well, and going down to whatever that pupil distance thing is. So what I'm going to do now is, now that I've got the board out, I'm going to just connect up the battery straight on the board, charge it and see if it behaves differently than it did before. Oh, I bet this is for the USB-C port. Let's have a look. Yeah, it goes up around here, up into, yeah, that's the USB-C port. So if I was to connect up this one and the battery, then we might have something, would we not? Let's give it a go. Let's connect up one of the speakers in case it makes a noise at me. Right, let's see now if it's going to draw any more. Hope nothing shorts out. So let's get this and this. In, are you ready? And in. 0.16. Now it's dropping. It's going the wrong way. Well, that doesn't seem very happy either, does it? And it didn't make any weird noise or anything at me. I've got one of the, what I think is a speaker plugged in. But mind you, well, I won't be able to turn it on because I haven't got the button connected. I don't know, that doesn't quite look right. Let's unplug that. Let's get rid of this battery. Let's see if we can just temporarily plug this one in. Right, now we're in there. Let's see if this one behaves any differently. 0.16. Now, so it's the same. Oh, here we go. That went up for a second. No, it went up for a second, but then it went back down again. Well, I don't think there's any difference between those batteries there, which is what Alex said. So, do I put it back together apart from these two at the top? Let me just roughly put a few things back together. What I'd like to do is I'd like to plug it in and see if we have any voltage coming out here into the battery. Both batteries might be faulty along with other stuff. Okay, so apart from a few aerials, we've got everything connected apart from these two things. Should I connect up the fan? I suppose we could do just to see if it spins. It's not the nicest thing to work on, it's quite fiddly. I won't worry about the heat sink and stuff yet. Right, okay, so now let's plug it in. Is anything going to happen? Can't see anything, can't hear anything. Nothing's spinning. Let's turn it on. You've still got that light there. Well, it's no different than it was before. So even though we've cleaned it, it's still no different. So let's disconnect this battery, pop the other battery in. Well, actually, no. Tell you what we'll do. Let's plug it in. Do we have any red light or anything now? Or any draw? So we have the same... Oh, it's gone right up now without that battery. Look. Then drops back down again. No, and back up again. But now it's down. No, it keeps going up. So is it trying to boot loop now without the battery? Oh my word. We've got something. It's got a sign for no battery. There you go. That's how I've got it now. You have to put the camera lens up to it. So watch this. Then you will see the Meta logo just for a second when it comes on. There. See it just for a second there? Ready? There. Right, well, we've made a little bit of progress there. That's when we have no battery connected. So let's unplug that. And let's plug this battery in and see if this one can get kick-started. Now in. Now I'm going to have another look through just to see if there's anything happening on the screen. No, we're undone. No, okay. So it looks like both batteries are dead. So now what we'll do is unplug that. Let's see if there's a way that we can... Let's get rid of this because otherwise that's going to break. Let's see if there's a way. It's a shame I can't get these fully out of the way. Let me get the needle. Let's plug it in. We'll get the needle probes. We'll see which ones here should be live. I hope I don't short anything out. So it's going to be doing this boot loop thing. No, I'm just going to go on the very outside ones here. And there's nothing happening. That's on what I would say is kind of the shield. Now let's go on to the big ones. Here and here. That's worrying. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. No, so there's nothing coming out of that to charge the battery. Okay, let's get the floor cam and see if we can see anything getting warm. Maybe there's some weird shorted capacitor or something. Right, so let's see if we have heat anywhere. I can see something here. What's that? That chip. That chip's getting slightly warm, but that might be completely normal. It's not exactly burning up. Get my finger in the way, you see. 37 degrees. Yeah, so if you have a look, apart from reflections, there's no heat anywhere. Only that chip there. What does that say? NAND. Yeah, that says NAND. Right, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's kill power to it. Let's get it under the microscope and see what's happening here in case we've got two pins that are touching, which is knocking everything out. We can see that this here is nicely messy. So what's going on? Lots of corrosion here. That's come off the pad there. But I'm more worried about a short. I'm just wondering, has there been, like, there we go. That there, was that bent up on that one? Wonder should we just melt it off the board completely? Mind you, if it's not shorting, then it's not going to cause any problem there, is it? So let's take that one out. This connector is no good now anyway, you can see it's gone. So we've got that one there. I'm wondering what my game plan is here, because I'm not going to be able to get it to work because I can't fix this connector, it's gone. But I'm just curious as to why it's not charging, really. Let's get rid of that. Right, now, so that can no longer be short in there, that's not short in there. This has been completely obliterated out the front here. There you go, I think that's the remains of the pin there. Right, so there's no shorts there, and there's nothing short in here now. Right, so let's forget about this one. That can't put a fault on the actual charging or anything like that. Let's now have a look at this one here. Right, there's no shorts there. I don't think there's any shorts there. What's slightly worrying is though, what happened to all those pads that were there once upon a time? Are they jammed in here or have they just all burnt away? Right, I don't think they're going to put any problems on the device itself. Let's have a look at this battery connector. Now, does it look to be spread out a little bit here? I think it does. Oh, that was a bad move. Right, let's try to push that out a little bit. Now I know that looks disastrous, me doing that to the connector, but really it was a blessing in disguise, because although the connector looks okay on top, the problem lies where the connector meets the board, the solder joints that you can't see. You can only see tiny little bits of them sticking out. It's the same as the connector I've just cleaned. It looks okay and you think it is salvageable, but what you can't get to is where the pins meet the board. You can only see a fraction of a millimetre, yet the pins go quite far back into that connector. And the board is completely blackened underneath it. So you'll see now in this bit, when I get the soldering iron and I remove the connector, that underneath the actual solder pads are burnt through. So it doesn't matter how good the connector works on top, it can't connect to anything because underneath it's all burnt. So it was a bit of a blessing in disguise that it did crumble under the force of the tweezers, because it forced me to take the connector off, because otherwise I'd be wondering for ages why on earth there's no voltage getting from the battery into the board, or why there's no voltage coming out of the board onto the battery, because how can it when the pads themselves are not intact? I think we can see now how much it was actually corroded, because I still can't seem to get these pins back here. So maybe now when I get these back shiny, maybe we will have some sort of voltage when we go across them. Let's try to get some flux on that and get some solder on, see if it will shine up a bit. So we're using leaded solder with the flux. Hopefully that will clean away the corrosion that's there, and then we're going to use some solder wick, some braid, and we're going to suck up the solder we've just put on it, and hopefully that will leave tinned pads, and that way then we might be able to see if they're making a connection. Now look how clean they are there. So this is much more like it. Let's go to continuity Let's see. So these are just going to be anchor, but they're not doing anything. Now, is this connected to here? Yes. Is this connected to here? Interesting. It's not, and they're both clean. Here? No. Here? No. Yes, that is, though. They have to be the main rails going in. Surely they have to be the main rails going in. I still can't actually see what's going on in the middle, though. I'd like to be able to see that. Right, it's very hard to see, but look, it does look like that is the main rail here, doesn't it? Yeah. And it looks like this is just going to be connected to like the ground of everything. But I don't think these three are doing anything unless they're going somewhere else on the board. So I reckon these are just going off in these directions. So if I was to solder from here, I suppose not. Hold on one second. If I do this here, no, so I'm going to have to go from this side because this side's not doing anything, is it? They're not going anywhere because we haven't got, have we got traces top and bottom? Or is it all the same? That's confusing now. I don't know whether we've got traces going top and bottom. Are these going, is this going to a via? Let's have a look on this one. Right, I'm not going to be able to see because they're going to have foil and stuff stuck on it. I wonder, is that the same? So that goes around on that side. I wonder, is that all the same? In which case, are those three pins doing anything this side here? Because they're not linked, are they? Okay, I completely missed this when filming, but it's so clear when I'm editing that I can see that the battery is labelled up and the 3 pins on the left side are completely different to the 3 pins on the right side. So that clears that up. They're not linked. Wow, we've got 2.5 volts now. Now we've got voltage. It's probably because I shorted something out. So now look. It's probably because I went when I wanted the negative to the pins there. Look, this has livened itself up. Ready? So if I go here and here, can you see now? No, you can't. Right. Here and here. Look at that, 2.5 volts. Yeah. Probably because I've shorted some of those pins out. Now, have we got anything on this one? Because I don't think I have shorted this one out. Maybe I could go across and try to short it out. Got anything here and here? No. So let me go these two. And now see, have I got anything? No. Let me go back to what I did a minute ago. So I was on here. I went like this. Had it there. Didn't have it there. See, maybe this battery here has been blown up. I'm just trying to short. Right, surely now some of the pins there must have shorted. Now, do we have anything? No. So I think this one's blown itself up because it was connected to the board with the water damage. So I think maybe the battery management system on the actual battery somewhere, wherever that is gone. And I think this was in a deep discharge state, and by connecting it up to here, it wasn't working because the connection wasn't doing what it needed to do. But now that I've shorted the pins out accidentally, can you see now 2.5 volts? So I think I will be able to get that battery back up. Let's plug this in and see now, because we've got nice clean copper pads, whether or not we do have voltage here. So you can see it boot looping. Let's now go between here and here. Still nothing there. Still nothing there. But maybe it needs to see the battery on some of those other pins because there definitely is voltage here. I think we should solder up this battery onto here and then see what happens. Now that of course is easier said than done, because to get to the old battery to take it out, we have to dismantle pretty much everything. It's a bit of a shame because they could have made it easier to get to the battery, but I do kind of get it. Realistically, a product like this is going to go out of date so quick because it gets superseded with, for example, the Meta Quest 3 and then 4 and then 5 and onwards, that nobody would be interested in the 2 in a few years' time. So if they design the battery to last 5 or 6 years, realistically that's long enough for this product. So I'm not going to bash them for doing that. Lots of people would like it to be replaced, and I get that it should be made to be replaced, but I fully understand it because you know what? Most people don't care. They want an excuse to buy a new one, and that's just the way it is with the society these days. Things are not made to last because technology is moving on so quick that people don't want them to last. Imagine now being forced, and I know some people would still use them, some of the people that watch my videos, but imagine having to get a Nokia from, for example, 15 years ago and using it every day now. You could still, well, do you know what? I don't even think you'd be able to use it because it'd be using 2G or something. And I think right now they're turning off 3G, are they not? So I suppose 2G's long gone. So things just go out of date and there's not really much we can do about it. Anyway, I do eventually get to the battery, which is located in the top of this headset, and then I need to solder in the new battery. As you can imagine, all of this takes a huge amount of time. You're not going to sit through a 5-hour video watching me struggle do one wire after another wire, so I'm just whizzing through it now, and then I'll show you the result of when the battery is soldered into place, the new one. Well, not the new one, but you know, the replacement one that Alex gave me. Right, the UV light has been on it for a nice bit of time, and it's at least got a skin on it. I don't know if it's gone through into it, but it's certainly got a skin. So I'm ready, I think, to plug in the charger and see what happens. Now, I'll be honest, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed if we don't have some different amp draw, because we know that the old battery was faulty and now this battery has come alive, so it should do something, I'm hoping. I'd be disappointed if it is the same. Here we go. Here we go. Now, you ready? Is it going to blow up? It might do. Go on. Excellent. Excellent. Look at that. Look at that. Brilliant. Stay high. It's getting even higher. I hope it's not going to explode. That's definitely doing something different. Now, do we have anything in here? No, we don't. But we've got a solid red light. We've got a solid red light and we didn't have that before. Brilliant. Well, I think I'm going to leave it for a while and see what happens. We only had a blinking red light before. So I think I don't think I'm going to be able to get it working because obviously all this is disconnected, like the proximity sensor and stuff. But I think what's happened is it was water damaged and something kind of shorted on the battery and it blew the old battery. And the reason it didn't work when Alex plugged in the new battery, I think because the connection itself was all burnt and horrible, and as well as that there was numerous other things on the board. I don't know if the top connections here were actually causing a problem, but they were all corroded, and even what looks like the screen connector was all corroded. I'm so happy with that. You know what, even if it doesn't go any more than that, I'm happy because it means that my soldering obviously did something. I think it went really well actually, that soldering. I think just the solder mask is the answer, just like the Apple Watch. It's the answer because you can protect that whole. This was a bit harder, believe it or not, than the Apple Watch because, well, no, the Apple Watch was finer, but you could do one wire at a time. Because this was also flexible, it was a little bit more awkward. But when you did that first side, you could cover it, and once you cover it, it's like, whew, you can breathe. Job done. You don't have to worry about it then. As long as you don't get the soldering iron and start bashing it in there, it's gonna be okay. And then of course you can do the other lot. Well, if you just try to do it all in one go, it's gonna end in tears. Amazingly, it doesn't actually look too bad. When you kind of look at that, it would take you a little while to realise the bodge job in the corner. Oh wow, we've got a white light now. What does that mean? We've got a white light. Is anything happening in here? Oh my god. Oh my god. Look what we got. Look what we got. Where have you gone? Hold on. Right, well basically, I don't know if you got a chance to see that or not. Oh, whoa, it's gone up to 1.5. That's crazy. But we haven't got a white light now. It's gone back to red light. But what we had is we had a battery symbol and it actually said 0. Oh, that's so good. Maybe did I press it on by accident? I'll tell you what, let's not be hasty. It's definitely charging at a good healthy rate now. So let's just leave it and see what happens maybe in about, I don't know, half an hour or something. I'll keep an eye on it just in case it goes up in flames. Right, look at this, is still on high here, and when I press the button, I've got to be careful. Let's see if you can see it now. When I press the button, it comes up with, there you go, can you see? Look at that. That's that eye. You can see it flashing, and let's go to this one. Press the button, there you go. That's the other eye. I still say 0% though. Look at that, it's gone up to 2. So when you turn it on, it goes up to 2. I wonder, maybe I should put it back together. I'm a bit worried about whacking the front here. Let me put it back together, and then I'll do more charging. What colour are we here? Red. Okay, it's back together. That's mostly just to stop me whacking it by accident. And there's plenty of things missing, because remember, I can't fix this thing here because there's loads of little pins missing. And even if I was to spend ages sorting out this ribbon cable here, then we've got 2 connectors on the board that are obliterated. So it's not going to make any difference anyway. But it would be nice to see if we can get some charge in and to see whether there's anything I can do with it. Right, that's jumped up to there. Oh, I've got a blue thing going on. Oh, I've got like blue, that's interesting. Oh, it says 5%. Well, that's good. It's now saying 5%. I had like the blue meta symbol there. Have a look there. Okay. See, 5%. So let me leave it for a bit. Apparently you can't use these without the controllers. It said that you need the controllers to set them up, which is really annoying. I thought I might be able to do some sort of like virtual world thing without the controllers. So yeah, and what I'll have to do is see if it's possible to buy spare. Well, the thing is, there's no point in buying spares. I've got the problem with the things have come off the board. Yeah, basically, I'm just doing this just to, well, I suppose prove what the problem is. It's never going to be a working one because you see we have the 2 things missing off the board. But it would still be interesting to see at what sort of, you know, what state we can get it to. Oh, I've just noticed here. Check this out. There's 3 different settings. Look, I just cleaned it because it was covered in some sort of food. 1, 2, 3. Now that's kind of useful, because then if you were sharing it between people, you would know that, you know, like 1 might be for kids and 3 might be for adults, etc. Oh dearie me, I got properly sidetracked there. I'm just editing this back. Basically, what I was trying to say is it'd be interesting to see how far we can get this to work. Clearly, you can see the damage on it. We've got 1 cable that goes off to the proximity sensor, which is obliterated. As well as that, the connection on the board is obliterated. We've got another ribbon cable that feeds, I believe, the light at the front that says Oculus, and it also goes down to this thing that says 1, 2, 3. So maybe it knows how far apart, you know, your eyes are. In other words, by using 1, 2, 3, maybe it changes something in the software for that. Not too sure. Would that be something to do with field of vision or something? I don't know. And also the battery itself has been soldered in, but that really shouldn't cause a problem because the machine doesn't care whether it's been soldered in or via a connection. It just means in the future somebody's going to really struggle to replace the battery. But like I said earlier, there won't be a future for this one here. So I am going to charge it up. I'm not going to charge it up overnight. I'm going to charge it up for another few hours in the night that I'm working on it then. And then I'm going to pick up the video again the next day. Obviously, I don't want to leave this plugged in overnight because I don't know how safe it is at this moment in time. So let's pick up the video the next day. Right, it's the next day now. I let this get up to, I can't even remember what percent it was. 50-ish, 60-ish, something like that. And then, yeah, basically, you go to turn it on, and then it turns off again after about 10 seconds because of course it thinks you're not wearing it, so it must be some battery saving thing. A fair bit of this video has been cut out, so I'm struggling to get it to make sense. The reason it's cutting out so quickly is because it hasn't got the proximity sensor in there. It thinks you're not wearing it, so it's going to be an energy saving feature where it turns itself off, just like your AirPods. When you take them out, they pause the music, and when you put them back in, it starts again. There's proximity sensors on them. They know when you're wearing them. It's the same with this. Now, it's not just a case of buying a new proximity sensor from eBay, because the actual connector itself is obliterated on the board. Now, somebody could fix this if they had the correct connectors, but it's not that easy to buy those connectors. You need the right amount of pins on the right side, in the right orientation, and the right pitch left and right. I mean, I'm not going to know what that is, so it's not an option for me to change them over. But yeah, if you were to buy new proximity sensors and the new connectors for the board, then the proximity sensor may start working. Amazingly, there's not a huge amount of spares of these on eBay. It's not kind of like other products out there like a PlayStation 4 where loads of people break down for parts. I think because these are a bit of a nightmare to get into. Well, I don't mean a nightmare, they're just very time consuming, and maybe they're quite reliable because I can't really see how they're going to get water damage that easily when you're wearing them on your head. So I mean, you're not going to be wearing them in the bath, you know what I mean? Or playing them in, well, you shouldn't be wearing them in the bath. I was going to say it's not like a Nintendo Switch where maybe people use them when they're sitting on the bog. Next thing it drops down the bog. Do people in America say bog? When I say bog, I mean toilet. I'm not sure if that's an Irish thing or not, because obviously a bog is where, you know, peat and turf is from. So anyway, people in the UK know what I mean when I say bog. I'm waffling on again. Where am I? Anyway, sorry, yeah, let's get on with the video. But basically, yeah, that thing that I keep flashing around on screen is the proximity sensor. And of course, the connection for that is completely burnt out. Now, I can get into Safe Menu. The screen, 100% is okay. It doesn't seem to be like missing pixels everywhere. Through both eyes, it seems to be okay. You can get into safe mode, like a kind of boot screen thing where you can factory reset, you can do some side loader, you can reboot. I think that's about it, by pressing down the power button and this one here. In fact, I'll show you that now because it's it shows you how bright the screen is. Let me just look through here. I should be able to see it just from here. You keep holding it down, volume down and power in. And what it does, it tries to boot, I think, and then goes into it. Right, so I've got the blue Meta logo, blue Meta logo again, and there we go. Right, it's on now. Now, if you have a look, you should be able to see a nice blue screen at the very least with a load of writing. Right, there we go. You can see options to factory reset and stuff like that. Yeah, so your screen's definitely working there, and if I move over here, you can see it's definitely working there. But I've factory reset it. Remember, this has never been connected to my phone. I factory reset it, and then yeah, what happens is when I turn it on, I get 3 little white dots. I get a beep on here. I get 3 little white dots, and then I get another beep after about 10 seconds, and it turns itself off. Now, apparently, you can put it into like a debugging thing, and with the debugging, there's a way that you can turn off the proximity sensor, but it has to be connected to your phone to be able to put it into debugging mode. So I'm in this vicious cycle where I can't connect it to my phone because it doesn't stay on long enough. So what I'm going to do is, I know this is ridiculous, but this is a video, so yes, it's real life, but I wouldn't be doing this in real life if I wasn't filming it. I'd be going out and just buying a new one. I'm going to try to fix this one up more for the video. So I'm going to spend the next few hours trying to solder up the proximity sensor directly to the board. Oh, Vincey, I do sometimes wonder why I bother. Clearly, you can see that this is an item that is unfixable. But here I am, trying to spend the next 2-ish hours trying to solder wires that are 1/50th of a millimetre onto a burnt-out ribbon cable that doesn't want to sit still because it's flapping in the wind. I'm trying to stick a Q-tip behind it and some glue to shove it down into place. But everything's wrong on this. It's like back to front. It's impossible to get to. Clearly, it's burnt out, so I'm trying to scrape back onto good bits of copper. It's incredibly challenging, to say the very least. So while you're watching me struggle on this, I will shout out to my mate Vince Massive. The top level Patreon members this month are kitdigital.com, Kip Hakes, Max Rokotansky, Chris Seal, Felipe at MrKeeps.com, DJ VG, Pigsy, Anthony Dean, Bazza2, Russ Melanson, Gaspar Heller, Rickard Berglund, Soul Reaver 555, the My Mate Vince Fan Club, Astral Red Panda, Shamsa Al Sawadi, and Sholo Bradford Blackmore. Many thanks to each and every one of you. Now, I am just about done with this. Obviously, in real life, it did take a long time, but let's see if it's going to behave any differently now that we've physically hardwired the proximity sensor onto the board. Will we now be able to sync it to my phone because it should recognise the proximity sensor? Let's find out. Alright, so I'll take that off. And I'm going to leave the little Q-tip in there. Right, I think I can pop this back together, can't I? Well, it's not going to sit flush here, and I don't want to cut the tab off because, you know, I might end up using this to fix up another one in the future. Right, okay, so this front cover is not screwed in, but let's see if it's doing anything different now. So first of all, are you still charging? Yes, you are. Let's see what you're doing in here. Right, I've got the meta sign. Wow. Oh my God, something's downloading. Unbelievable. Look at this. Look at this here. Look, can you see that? Look. And we have a bar, a progress bar. Progress bar. Unbelievable. Right, leave it with me for a bit and I'll see if proximity sensor must be working. Unbelievable. Let me see if I can get anything on this. Okay, it's the next day now and I have to call it a day. Unfortunately, it is stuck on this logo here. I got it to go to this. If you have a look, it's lovely. It's a swirling meta logo and it will just keep coming and going, coming and going. Now, I thought it might be to do with updating it. So what I did is, where's it gone on this side? There you go. It's so hard to see through these. What I did is I left it overnight and it still didn't update. But I have taken it quite a bit further. So basically what I did is I signed up as a developer for developer mode on the Oculus website and I connected this up to my PC and it did manage to connect. So it came up with the serial number and I know it's the correct serial number because when I go into that safe boot thing where you press this button and this button here into that USB debug type menu thing, then you can go into about device and it comes up with the serial number. So I wrote it down and that's the same. And then it asked to connect to the Wi-Fi. Now I did that, but I was still having problems with the proximity sensor. Basically, it didn't seem to want to go through with the proximity sensor connected. When I disconnected it, it wanted to go through, but it would only give me about 10 seconds before it would turn itself off. So what I did is I left it connected to my PC and I went over and I did the soldering on that proximity sensor. So what I did is I thought it might be because there was only one ground connected and maybe all the other pins needed to be connected. I didn't do it on the board because it was already covered in solder mask and glue. I did it on the actual connector. So I run a 0.1mm wire and basically just flattened it down with the pliers afterwards and I took off the back of the connector, you know, the sort of hard plastic bit. So now it's no real thicker than the original connector. It looks a complete mess, but there's nothing shorting on it. It should work. Hold on. No, I'm not skirting over that. Look at that soldering there. That there is a work of art. If I could blow that up and frame it, I think I would. Look at it. Obviously not a picture of it. If I could blow up the real item and frame it, I would. How nice is that? So all of those top pins there are ground and I couldn't do it on the board because I'd already covered everything in solder, but I only wanted one wire for the ground. But then I thought, hold on a minute, maybe it's the connector, the board side of it, which is joining all the grounds together. So instead of doing it on the board, I did it here and I'm really happy with it. Look at that. And then I flattened it down so it still fits in the connector, believe it or not. Come on, you got to give that to me there. That there is beautiful. And then basically I thought, okay, I'll connect it up. I went to turn it off at the side and basically it made a weird noise at me. I didn't look through because I was sure after like 2 hours of messing with it that it was no different. Went to turn it off, it made a weird noise. I looked in it, there was like a grid. I was in a virtual world. It looked like there was a grid on the floor and it said powering down in a blue box. And I thought, oh no, but I couldn't stop the powering down then because it was powering down. And ever since then, I haven't been able to get back to that stage again. So I don't know if for a short time it did connect into the kind of metaverse type thing that you're supposed to see in there. I really don't know. But now, it doesn't make a difference if I connect up the proximity sensor or if I don't connect up the proximity sensor. I just have this swirling, and it looks lovely, this swirling meta thing over and over again. Oh, apologies, this video must be all over the place. There was just so much footage. But basically, the bottom line is I've actually got quite far with it, but I have to leave these disconnected. If I leave these disconnected now, I can go in here and I can turn the volume up and down. I can see it moving up and down on screen. Then when I go to turn it off, it puts me into a virtual world and it says like cancel, power off, restart with a little dot, and you move the dot over what you want, and I think you leave it or you confirm using one of these buttons here, and then it will, you know, restart or power down. I'll show you that virtual world in a minute. There's all dots all over the place and it does actually feel like you are in another little world. So although these are still not fixable, because I would need another proximity sensor here, and also I would need a new connector on the board to fit the proximity sensor too, I feel like it's a partial success because we made progress with the repair. We've now got it to turn on, it will keep battery life on it, and also at least I know the brains of it is working because I can get into the virtual world. I just can't connect it to anything because it doesn't recognize it any more than 10 seconds or so. So although it's a failure, I feel like we made quite a lot of progress, and I think this would be good for spares for another one because I know the brain's working, I know the screen's working, I know lots of parts of this are working. It's just the fact that the proximity sensor is not working, and I can't disable it because I can't connect it to my phone to go into developer mode to disable it, which is a real shame. But still, I think I might get some more of these because I think it might make an interesting little job lot video if I buy up 3 or 4 of these, because there's not many videos on them, and then try to fix them in that video. So a massive thumbs up to Alex for sending this in to me. I have thoroughly enjoyed working on it, even though it's been very time consuming. I'm just going to show you a little bit of footage now of that virtual world. Yes, I can't show you a fix, but at least I've shown you something which is completely dead, and now I've managed to show you parts of it working, which I think is a success. Right, I'm not going to have very long, but look, can you see when I move around, I have this little dot and I'm in a virtual world. So when I go down here, you can see the floor. So there you go. I've managed to get you into some kind of virtual world, and you can do cancel, power off. Just to give you one more glimpse of that. You can do power off, restart, cancel by hitting the volume buttons when this little cursor's on it. So it's such a shame, and as you move around, this will move around to join you. Yeah, and when I go here, it will catch up. Yeah, so there you go. I managed to show you some of the virtual world, but next time, hopefully I will be more successful. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all very soon.
Rusty red on her shoulder, I was cleaning her shoe when it clicked on the trot over in the bright morning dew. We brushed and we braided dandelions and chewed. It was a mutual arrangement we both saw into. Can she walk in the fire? Can she run in the rain? Can she make it up the mountainside? Can she make it down again? I have often wondered if she'll go and jump the fence. Will she keep